Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the session today. Thank you, GMAT Club, for hosting this session. Today, we're going to talk to two great candidates that would like to apply to master degrees in business schools. And we're going to chat a bit about their profiles. And hopefully, we will be able to learn a lot from their profiles regarding other profiles as well. This is a YouTube live session. You can write questions and we will try and answer the comments as we go along. The way we're going to do is the candidates are going to introduce themselves. We're going to discuss them a bit, and then you can ask questions and I'll just go through the questions. So just a bit about me. My name is Shimri Winters. I have a computer science undergraduate degree. I used to work as a programmer at a big IT company, and then I went to London Business School for my MBA. Post-MBA, I worked in consulting in London, and then I worked for some big IT companies as a business development manager and manager of managers, etc. And I've been working at ARINGO MBA Admissions Consulting for 7 years now, full-time. This is what I do. ARINGO have been going on for 18 years. We help people get into business school, masters or MBAs. That's what we do. So I think that was my very marketing slides. Now it's a good time to introduce our two candidates and to discuss their profiles a bit. So first of all, hi, Max. I'm going to say hi to you first because actually we're not going to talk to you right now. So hi and bye.
Hi.
I will talk to you in about 15 minutes. Hi, Pratik. We'll talk with you now.
Hi.
Okay, so first of all, everybody in the audience can actually see your profile on the screen. It's not a CV, but it's a few bullet points. But I think let's start with you telling us about yourself, just like 1 or 2 minutes, and then we can discuss your profile a bit more, and of course your aspirations to apply to business schools.
Right. Okay, so my name is Pratik, and I am a 21-year-old Indian. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor in technology in electronics and communication at Manipal Institute of Technology. It's a Tier 1 institute in India, and I currently have a CGPA of 7.2 till my 6th semester. I'm currently in the final year, and I had given my first attempt of GMAT in September last year, and I got a 670. I'm hoping to give another attempt soon before the next intake starts. Talking about my work experience, as you know, I'm still a final year. But I have received an offer from a company called Ugam Solutions, which is a data analytics company. They work in the retail and consumer sector primarily. It's a subsidiary of Dentsu International, which is a top 5 advertisement agency in the world. So, and Ugam itself is also a multinational company with its offices in US, India, and Australia. So, I have my most notable achievements in college would be my leadership experiences, which are 2 of them. Firstly, I was the EV team head at my student project in my college, which actually made the university's first electric race car. We actually ended
Amazing.
up coming third in a national competition as well. And apart from that, I am the co-founder of my startup, which is a small group of 7 people. But we have taken part in a national competition and have received a funding of $300 from Texas Instruments for making the prototype. And my career goals are firstly to get into consulting and later exit consulting after gaining some work experience and get into industry at a strategic level role.
Okay, Pratik. First of all, thanks for that. Not easy to, talk about yourself. I'm used to it. I like talking about myself. So well done. Okay.
Thank you.
Again, it's not easy. So that was good. Second thing, let's try and find some strengths in your profile, and then look for the areas that I think you can still strengthen before you apply to these master programs. And again, from what I understand, you still have another year in university, and then probably another year to work. So we're talking about, this is, well done, you're looking really ahead right now, and maybe for 2 years from now or something like that. So that's great.
No, actually, I would be applying in round one, which would be in September this year.
Yes, for studies in 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, so you're going to finish university this year, and then you'll have one whole year of working. Great.
Right.
So first of all, you are exactly what master in management programs are looking for. Okay, and I'll explain why. So first of all, your academics are very strong. It's not just that they're strong in terms of your GPA, but you've also shown a lot of activity in student engagement projects. Okay, and you tell me about building an electric race car. I want to hear more. Like, this is amazing. Okay, so it sounds very interesting. Again, strong analytics, strong degree, good GPA, plus being involved in university is very important for the schools. They don't just want people that just went to university and got great grades. They want to see some kind of activity. What I want to hear a bit more about the startup, and I'm sure you don't have a lot of spare time. What I would want to see a bit more is some kind of community activity or some kind of volunteering, because I think that's also important. It's also important to show that you have hobbies and interests, but also that you care about the community and that you've done something in that area. Have you had? I know it's not here, but have you had some activities?
Yes, I have. I have been part of the Rotaract Club of my university. And
Fantastic.
apart from that, on my own as well, I have done some volunteering experience in one of the NGOs near my grandparents' village.
Yeah.
So I these are like my two.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And don't undermine them. Okay, this is very important. Remember that you're looking for a master in management degree. Master in management degree is maybe similar to an MBA, but for people with up to 2 years of experience. Now, because it's for young candidates with up to 2 years, so you can't come now and show your 10 years of professional experience and promotions. No, you're much younger than that. And that's why the schools will definitely look at all the other aspects with a magnifying glass. And what are the other aspects? So we said education, great. Student involvement, great. Some kind of hobbies or activities. You have a startup that covers your hobbies and activities. Some kind of community, and so we've covered those. Now there's one or two other things that they're looking for. Although you're a young candidate, you're still in university. They would like to see some kind of professional experience. And you've mentioned already two things. One, you've mentioned that you are a co-founder of a startup that even got funding from a big US company. In a couple of words, what's the startup about and what kind of area is it?
So we're basically making a technology solution for the farmers in India. And we're trying to make the business model such that the farmer does not have to face the financial burden of affording the solution. And it's more from the supply chain that we get our whole revenue.
Yeah.
Although I would like to add that at the moment I'm not pursuing the startup because the competition had to abruptly end due to COVID, and we could not really do a hands-on work and we could not really make the prototype. But we did end up getting the funding, and in future I definitely would plan on pursuing that as well.
Okay.
So I do have that in my mind as well.
Okay. So first of all, I love it. Okay, because it covers so many things. First of all, it covers. It's kind of It's not volunteering. I know you wanted to do a startup and sell it for $100 million, but it does cover. It does show that you care about community, you care about the farmers. Okay, and you wanted to try and give them some kind of solution. Second of all, is you won. Or you managed to get some kind of funding. Not very much, but you managed to get some kind of funding. That means you went out, you presented the idea. Another thing is teamwork. Okay, it shows that you're not just a solo pilot or whatever analogy we want to think about. You know how to work in a team. I'm sure there were many struggles in the team. Okay, maybe one of the team members was underperforming. Okay, so there's a great story here. Again, I'm just making it up as I go along because I don't know the whole story, but there's something here to discuss. Okay, did you have any internships throughout your degree?
I did have one internship at a company called ABB. It's a Fortune 500 company in the electronics industry. I do have an achievement there as well. So I led a small group of 12 interns,
Wow.
and we made a expo presentation, which actually ended up getting the company quite a few meetings with prospective clients as well. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, great, great. So, sounds good. And again, even though master in management are looking for young candidates that hardly have any work experience, the way to show that you do have work experience is internships. Okay, so you've had one. A startup experience, again, good or bad, but it's an experience.
Right.
And the fact that you have already secured a job post your graduation is fantastic. That's exactly what they're looking for. Again, all the master in management successful candidates I've worked with, as well as the deferred MBA candidates that I've worked with, which come from a very similar profile than you. Just one word on that. Deferred MBA means that you apply for business school on your last year of your undergraduate degree, but then you still go out to the industry and you work a couple of years before you go to MBA, but you've secured your place. And this is
Right.
exactly what they're looking for: strong academics and some kind of student activity and activities and some kind of proof for work experience. And again, if you're still young, you're still in university or still in college, it's fine to show your work experience through internships or through volunteering or through some kind of extracurricular activities. That's also okay. So I love that. Now let's talk about areas that I think you can strengthen. So first thing is, you come from a competitive background. There's no there's no way
Yeah.
to hide that.
True.
And yeah, and you're going for two top schools, okay, LBS and NCAD.
Right.
The way to differentiate yourself is, first of all, and you understand this, the GMAT has to be higher. Okay, you have good academics, now continue with the good academics and show me a high GMAT score. And
Right.
although if you look at the master in management, GMAT averages, etc., because you come from a competitive background, you might need to be a bit above the GMAT average, a bit. Again, this is not the only factor, but it's one factor. And so that's one area I think as you're giving it another go, at least one more, that I hope you can improve a bit. Okay. Another factor, and again, this is a bit unknown right now, and I'm not sure when you're going to start your full-time job. At what month is that going to be?
July will be
In
start
July.
from July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure about what I'm going to say now. I'm thinking as I'm speaking to you. I might not even recommend applying in round one. There might be an advantage waiting for round two. I'm just thinking about this with you, because in round two, you'll have a lot more experience to discuss. You'll already
Right.
have more than half a year of experience, or half a year of experience to discuss already with the schools. You'll have more achievements, etc. Now, again, round one is a bit better. Chances might be a tiny bit higher. So there's a bit of a dilemma here. In any case, when you start your work, and this is difficult, you're just going to start, you're junior, etc. I do recommend trying to find projects that have some kind of international flavor. If there's international teams or international clients, that would also help differentiate you, especially for a school like NCAD or London Business School that really look for candidates, although candidates that don't have a lot of experience, candidates that have some kind of international experience.
Right.
And again, so far you haven't, because you haven't worked in a big international company. So if there's a way for you again to work with some kind of partner from another country, or even being with a Dentsu, which is like the mother company, somehow I know this is difficult. Definitely meant maybe you'll be sent to some kind of training program. This is very, very important to show on your profile that even if you haven't worked in Germany for 5 years, that you worked with a team from Germany, that you worked with a team from the UK, that you work in a diverse group, that you manage to work with them. And this is something very, very important. Schools like NCAD and London will put a lot of emphasis on, can you work in a diverse team? Okay, and one last thing that I can just think of is, again, LBS and NCAD, great schools, especially LBS. Okay, that's the best school, let's be honest. But it's also the only school I went to, but it's the best. But these are two schools I would add, as a safety measure or something, I would add a third and possibly even a fourth school. HEC Paris, for example. Okay, that could be a good third school. I think just applying to two, again, I don't know what the GMAT will be and how many achievements you'll have at work, but I think just applying to these two is a bit risky. I definitely understand your backup plan. Backup plan is not to do the master in management, go and work 3-4 years and go and do an MBA. I understand you don't have to go and do a master in management right now, but I do think that's a good segue then to your career goals. I think, it's definitely doable, and then getting into consulting, etc. But you might want to consider adding another school or two.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that works. I would, however, like to know if what would you say would be a good GMAT score? Say I'm applying in round 1 or round 2 at both these schools.
Yeah, well, that's
Like,
always the
say like a minimum or a minimum and a grade.
Yeah, well, I don't think there is a minimum. You have a 670. Okay, you're there. You're in the game already. Okay, if you had the 600, like, I'm not sure they would open your application. They will open it now. Okay, you're in the game. Now, what's a good GMAT score? I said, if you go above the school averages, that's good. Okay, so every school has, their own averages. If you score 720, right, great, you're above the averages, all good. So it depends which school you're applying to, because different schools have different averages. I think it would be great to have a 700 and above, but the higher the better, really. And again, the things I would emphasize right now, getting a good GMAT score. I know you're busy, you might have exams now, but this is the time to do it. And very fast trying to, I know it's very difficult, but very fast at work, trying to take on as many projects, as much work, volunteer to every single thing, work 16 hours a day, because you have a very short time to show this experience to the schools. That's why I was thinking maybe round 2, maybe not. This is something you might want to consider, I don't know, in August or something like that. Okay. Another thing, again, just, because I'm thinking about it, is the applications take time. And some of the school applications are very long. They can definitely take, 2 months to write. So, I'm saying, yeah, let's discuss this in August, but actually that might be too late. So this is something again, I'm not exactly sure the dates of when you're starting work, how many work days you'll have between July till September. This is something you might want to think in advance. But again, in the next month or two, GMAT. That's it, and emphasis the things that we discussed, like the volunteering and extracurriculars, and I think you should be fine.
Thanks.
Okay,
that was a great review. Thank you so much.
Okay, Pratik, and we'll be in touch. Contact me, privately, and we can discuss this further. So thanks for that, guys. I can see you writing lots of questions, and I love it. And we'll go through if you have any questions during this session. We can actually see the questions, but I'm trying to concentrate on the candidates. So thanks, Pratik. Let's move to Max. Hello, Max.
Hi, Shimri.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm good. I'm really excited to discuss now your candidacy.
Background, finance guy from Europe.
Yeah. Let's finance guy from Europe, aka Max. Okay, so I think people are starting to hear the Dutch accent in your voice. I have a feeling it's coming out very quickly. Give us a minute or two about your profile.
Yeah, so I'm Max. I'm from the Netherlands. Indeed, I'm Dutch. So I started with my first bachelor in econometrics at Tilburg University, which is actually the number 10 university in economics and econometrics in Europe. After 2 years, I took a gap year. I was president of a student society of about 750 members for a year. After that, I actually got the crazy idea to start a second bachelor in a different university. So I started with geological engineering, actually a combination of mining engineering and petroleum and energy engineering. Delft University is ranked 15 in the world of engineering schools, and the faculty is actually ranked second behind MIT. And yeah, I recently completed an internship at a large national bank at the mining and metals team. And yeah, so some extracurriculars. I did an international research project not in South America, but in Panama, which is North America actually. And I did some voluntary work. So I worked I helped the community with a few things around the elections, and I mentored a Syrian refugee at university in his first steps in the Netherlands. And yeah, last but not least, I was VP of a trading club at the university.
Okay. Okay.
Oh
Great.
yeah, and also one more thing, I did a summer school at LSE in corporate finance.
Okay. Okay. So that's great, and don't forget that that's important.
Yeah.
So what I like about you, and I think you're a great example of, how old are you, Max?
I'm 24 right now.
24. Okay, a great example of someone that hardly any work experience, but so much is going on, right? You've done, sorry to say, you've done a lot of things. Even in your gap year, it wasn't traveling in Asia with a backpack. You were doing lots of things, and being, I just want to take one thing: being, I don't know, president of the student society or VP of the trading club, or just one thing out of here is really, really interesting. Doing the research project in Panama. I thought it was Central America. Now I'm learning it's North America. I'll have to check you on that.
Yeah, it's both.
I know. So even that is really interesting. Okay, so I'm sure you could have done a research project on a flower shop in Amsterdam, but no, you did something that it shows also international experience in working maybe with people from there, data sources, etc. So I really like that. I really like the fact that so again, let's be a bit more structured. And let's talk about the good things and then maybe the things that I would like to see. Okay, so again, I really like the extracurricular activities. Okay, I kind of started with that. It's it's not all extracurricular. Some of the things are in university, some are out. I understand that, but it's nice that you have a lot of interest and you take ownership. Okay, so I like trading. I was part of the trading club. Great, but you didn't do that. You were the VP of the trading club. Okay, I'm part of the student association or society because they give a good discounts for something. No, you were the president of the. Okay, so this is something great. It shows initiative. I'm sure you can also show leadership activities. You can show team membership things that went wrong or went well. How you motivated people that don't get money or things like that. So I'm sure you have from these experiences a lot of experiences that again can kind of cover or kind of show that you have potential, although you haven't worked for 5 years at McKinsey. Okay, so you don't have that kind of employment history. You're young, it's fine, but you've done so many extracurricular things. So extracurricular is great. I'm not sure what the voluntary work is. You said about the Syrian refugee. I don't know if there was something else, but as long as there's like one other thing in the last 5 years, that sounds fine. Okay, like I wouldn't. You don't need to do anything special. It sounds like you've got quite a lot going on as it is. Okay. In terms of academics, so extracurricular, great. Volunteering sounds like you have a bit. In terms of academics, great. So, and I also like the way you discuss this, and it's fine, and it's really legitimate that after 1 year you said, you know what, I'm actually going to do another bachelor's degree. Okay, it's fine. You don't have to know all the answers when you're 17 and know exactly which degree to go to. And okay, so your mind is expanding. You're learning new things. You want to learn new things, and you decided to do another bachelor's degree in another university. Okay, which is not very common and very, very difficult. Okay, I'm sure you could have added some courses in your first university and had a dual degree, but you decided kind of to do 2 bachelor degrees. GPA looks very, very high. Econometrics is not a very known degree, but statistics, analytical, summing. There's lots of equivalent degrees, right, in this area. So I would maybe mention kind of what it is in case you're sending it to someone who's not exactly sure what it is. But very high GPAs. So in that sense, all good. Okay, so I like the extracurriculars. Volunteering is okay. I love your hobbies and whatever. We can tie it all up. And very strong education. Have you finished both degrees, or are you still in the process of?
Yeah, I'm in my last semester right now.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah,
good
this
luck.
is my first week in my last semester. So
okay, wow, okay.
This is the time to take the GMAT. So I've been studying, and
so that
my
brings us
base
nicely.
test was already at 710.
Okay.
So I'm pretty confident that if I ace the verbal part, it'll be fine, because the quant part is really easy, basically.
Okay, so that's what I was going to say. So now we're coming to the areas that I think we need to work on or strengthen. So first one is the GMAT. Okay, it's very simple. No GMAT, no masters, right? We understand this. And master in finance, they again, they like good GMATs. Now you're very analytical. It's obvious you have 2 analytical degrees, but you need a good GMAT. And again, if you're aiming for the best schools like LSE or one of the best schools in the world, I don't know if it's a 720 and above or something like that, but that's what you're aiming for. Okay, minimum. But I'm sure you can score good scores. Again, you have very analytical degrees. This is the time your mind is still good in exams, etc. Sorry for the stereotyping. You have great English. Okay, so it's just a matter of practicing, etc. Right? So it's a matter of effort. The GMAT, basically, how much time you can put in. That's how the score will look. So the more time you put in, the higher the score will be. So GMAT, fine. Let's say you score the GMAT. Now my main worry, which we can discuss how we can overcome, is actually going for a master in finance degree. Okay, because your undergraduate degree is not in economics or it's not in finance. And the way to overcome it is exactly what you did. First of all, the internship was a financial internship. Okay, you went to work for a bank for 4 months. So that's great. Second of all, already just from looking at your leadership roles, I can see you have a hobby, which is to do with trading, right? Otherwise, you went in the trading club. Maybe you don't trade. Maybe you're not a day trader, but still, you get interested by trading and finance and things like that. I think it's very important to try and show more finance hobbies / activities. You said you did an LSE.
Yeah, that's exactly why I went to summer school to LSE.
Summer school,
and with my bachelor in econometrics, I also took a minor in finance.
Okay,
so that's all on my CV, of course.
Okay, good. So that's exactly the things I want. So basically, I want the word finance to be on at least 4 or 5 places on your CV. Okay, and I see this problem quite a lot with engineers. Okay, someone that has a software engineering degree like me, I don't know what, he's a computer programmer for 1 year, and he wants a master in finance degree because he wants to be an investment banker. And this is actually a problem. Okay, so you want to be an investment banker, but in your 24 years till today, you haven't done anything to do with finance. Okay, and that's a problem because it's not the right degree for that person. By the way, and that person, I would suggest to do a master in data analytics or in master in management or something in that kind of area. But it's very risky to do a master in finance. But in your case, again, as long as you can show that finance passion, let's call it, you should be fine. Okay. Another thing is if you are applying in round 1 for 2022, you will be unemployed shortly because your university is going to finish. And if you can't,
I'm really going to try to apply for this year. So
okay, great.
Take the GMAT in 2 weeks' time and apply in March.
That's what I was going to say. So schools don't like a big gap in your CV, and if you either apply straight after university or you kind of concentrate on finding a job and already mentioning that job, even if it's in the future, in your application. Okay, so I think again, age-wise, etc., you're fine for applying now. One word, let's talk about the schools that you're aiming for, but one word on master in finance is some schools have a minimum of work experience for a master in finance, and some schools have a master in finance which is designed for people like in a master in management for up to 2 years of experience. You can have 0, 1, or 2 years of experience. So someone like Max, who did an internship but doesn't have a lot of full-time work experience, can definitely apply to a Master in Finance at LSE. But London Business School Master in Finance will actually require Max to go and work for a year or two, or I think 2 years, somewhere before he applies. So when you look at,
there are 2 programs at LBS right now. So there's
I know.
pre and
There's the
post.
one. Yeah. So there's Max is right. I know. So
Sorry
one is for people. No. So you're absolutely right. So I didn't mention that. One program is for people with no work experience or very little work experience, and one is for people which are let's call them professionals in the industry. And again, you have to make sure that you're applying to the right program in every school, etc. What I like about what Max is doing is he also mentioned 4 schools that he's interested in. Okay, so we can see they're all in the UK. That's good. Again, go for as many, especially as you're applying in the last round, go for as many schools as possible. I think you mentioned the best ones. You can look at 1 or 2 others. There's, City in London, Cass Business School. I can't remember if Cambridge have the one for non-experienced candidates. Exactly, that's what I thought. So, but try and look for as many schools as possible. Again, you mentioned 4. I think this is enough if you get a good GMAT. Okay, I'm really impressed with your profile. I can see you have a drive for this program. Like you said, it's going to be very pressured. Okay, GMAT in 2 weeks, and you want to do applications in the next month. So it's all going to be pressured. But as long as you can make that happen, I think you have a good chance, Max. So overall, GMAT, and concentrate on the application. A word also for Pratik and for any candidate. There's the education, there's the GMAT, but there's everything else. Okay, and roughly speaking, it's very hard from depends. Every master's is a bit different. The split in terms of how much everything is important, but it can be roughly, let's just say 50-50. Okay, so the GMAT plus education, fantastic, but that's only 50% of your application. What's the other 50%? Your application itself. Okay, and that's the way you write your CV. Obviously the content, but the way you write your CV, the way you write your essays, what you decide to write about. Okay, your career goals. Why are you taking this degree? Does it make sense? Is it connected to your past? Okay, is it, like I said, a mechanical engineer that wants to work in finance because that's his dream? Okay, no, that's not strong enough. But if it's an engineer that does day trading, he's been to the finance club, he reads all the finance newspapers, and he's taken a finance, it's not UMac, he's taken a finance summer school, not at LSE. Okay, that's someone that already, that shows that he's really interested in finance, so he can apply to the Master in Finance. So the application is very, very important. Again, 3 elements: resume, essays, recommendations. All of them are important. Okay, there's no, can I not concentrate on one of them? No, they're all important. And if you have a good application, someone like Max, I definitely see you getting into at least one of these schools, if not more. By the way, Max, I'm not too worried about applying late. Okay, there's still slots in all the schools. Don't worry about that too much. If your application is good, you'll be able to get in.
Yeah, I postponed my application to do my internship, and I maybe want to find a second internship for this summer. I'm in some applications right now to at least have it on my CV.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
And I got my GPA up from 3.6 to 3.9, so that's an extra boost.
Very good, very good. Okay, Max. So that's it for me. Again, feel free to send me your CV, for a little personal assessment. But I think, again, someone like you, great CV, very dedicated, very focused, knows what he wants to do. And I think also Pratik and you I love these kind of candidates that know in advance what they want to do, and they know the next steps. Now they just need to get there. Okay, and that's it. So first of all, guys, Pratik and Max, thanks very much. I really enjoyed talking to you both. Okay, so thanks. And
thank you very much.
And what I'll do very, very quickly or slowly, I'll go through now all the questions that were on YouTube. I hope I managed to help some of the people that were watching us. And let's try and answer some questions on YouTube. So I'm just scrolling down, first in, first served, guys. So whoever asks good questions might get an answer. Question number one was, can they get into HEC Paris, HEC Paris, with a specific GPA? I want to explain that the GPA is just one factor. Also the GMAT, it's just one factor. So I get these questions a lot of times. Is a 700 enough or whatever? Yes, it's enough. But what about the other factors? And if you have a good profile, like we discussed with Pratik or with Max, and a good GMAT, and good extracurricular activities, and good volunteering, and your GPA is, well, this isn't mediocre, but your GPA is okay minus, okay, whatever that is, that's fine. Okay, this is just one factor. What you should do is manage to overcome this with showing the other stories. And again, I have candidates that don't do a lot of volunteering, but they have 5 or 6 hobbies. I have candidates who don't have any hobbies, but they do 5 or 6 volunteering things, or they are very active in the student committees or things like that in university. So as long as you can show something else that takes your time and overcomes, it's fine. There's no perfect profile. So just work on all the other elements as well. Okay, that was one question about GPA. I'm scrolling down your questions. When will this session commence? Well, it started. That was a good question. I can't see any more. How do you register, by the way, to these questions, to these assessments? Well, through GMAT Club, there's various ways to get on these sessions in the future. I can just see one more question. Is financial engineering a good step for someone with an engineering background, but a trading work experience? Very complicated question. So like I said, there's no perfect background, okay? And like Max, basically his first degree, that's the first one, was in statistics, okay, econometrics. This isn't a finance-based degree. He could have taken it to a PhD in maths, okay? He could have taken it in many routes, but because his, let's call it hobby, his interest is finance, and he did a lot of courses in finance, and he went to the summer school in finance, and he went to training. So that worked on his profile in the right direction. Same thing with, okay, anyone else. So as long as you can show interest in that specific degree, you should be fine. So I don't know if financial engineering is good or bad. It's one route. There isn't any right route. I did a computer science degree and went for an MBA. There isn't any right or wrong route. Right. Someone asked me about co-founding a startup that raised a few $1 million. That's a nice story for Pratik, who raised a couple $100. So great, fantastic. If you don't want to mention the number, okay, or you can't mention the number, you're under an NDA or something like that, so don't mention the number, okay? If you can hint the number, raised, millions of dollars, or raised an 7-digit number, or if you can hint something like that, obviously that's very, very impressive. If you can't, you can't. Okay, so you can just say what you can say. Worked in a startup, raised a lot of money, hired 10 people, worked with 2 venture capital funds. That I think that shows, being very serious. If it was 3 million or 7 million or 100,000, that's less important. So definitely mention a startup, and especially for young candidates who are going for these master degrees that don't have a lot of work experience, it's very important to show anything else. And even if you started a startup and worked with one friend in your home for 6 months developing an app that nothing happened with it, that's still a very interesting experience. So even a failure story is fine, because you learned a lot from this startup experience. You learned how to work with someone. You learned how to do market analysis. You learned what the cost would be to launch the product. And maybe you learned, maybe 6 months later, why it's not such a good idea to launch a Candy Crush equivalent on the App Store, okay? Because Candy Crush are very big and you're very small, okay? But you learned that. You learned how to do this marketing analysis, etc. So also failure stories are fine, okay? Don't be worried about that, okay? Okay, we have a couple more questions coming in. Okay, someone's asking about him being, is he overrepresented, highly represented, underrepresented? That's a great question, okay? We use these words a lot when we do these sessions. Again, I would actually ignore that for a second. You're not represented or not represented, you. And you need to think how your profile is different than your peer's profile. Doesn't matter if you come from Iceland, from India, or from the US, okay? If you went to a not very good university and your GPA is not very good and you don't have work experience and you don't volunteer, it doesn't matter if you're represented or overrepresented or underrepresented. I can tell you now, you're not going to get in anywhere, right? Because your profile isn't good. And if you come from a very large country with a lot of candidates, or from a very small country, but your profile is very special and unique and strong in all the aspects we discussed today, so you have a good chance, okay? So whether you're from India or China or Liechtenstein, okay, it's fine as long as your profile is strong. So I would, less consider these things. Yes, we sometimes fall into these pitfalls. Well, oh, you come from India, maybe your GMAT should be, 20 points above average. And oh, you come from a small country, maybe your GMAT can be 20 points below. That's just, it's maybe right in the big picture, but in the small picture, who are you? What's your profile like? That's more important. Okay, so I think those are the more important things. Guys, by the way, we're nearly finished. We're going to take 2 or 3 more questions and or even less than finished. So someone asked about LSE and do they discourage more than 2 years of work experience? So every degree is a bit different, and the best way to look at this is actually to go into LSE, look at the degree that you're looking for. I don't know which masters you're looking for. There's lots of masters at LSE. They will actually write, you can Google LSE, master in business analytics or whatever, master in finance, prerequisites. You will get to the right page and it will say if the prerequisite is a GPA, is an undergraduate degree. Usually they say undergraduate degree 2.1 and above or something like that, so you have some kind of minimum score, or they will say a minimum of 3 years of experience. Another way is to look at a lot of them have a student profile, and you can see if the student profile is 3 to 8 years of experience, well, that's the degree for experienced candidates. If the student profile is 0 to 1, okay, so you will manage to see that. So every school is a bit different. That's why I'm trying, not to answer you exactly. Go into the school, go into the degree that you're looking for, and look into the prerequisites. So I think that was enough for this session. I was trying to talk very quickly. I hope it wasn't too quick, so we cover a lot. Thank you, GMAT Club, for hosting this session. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you, Max and Pratik. Thanks a lot. Check us out on aringo.com if you want. I'm always available also to answer private questions if you send me your CV. And that's it for me. So again, thanks, GMAT Club, and see you in future events. And good luck, Max and Pratik. That's the most important thing right now.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.